Welcome back, design students. In this video, I'm going to show you how to put a label on your glass material. In order to do that, we need to do a couple things first. First thing we need to do is find a label image that we like. I downloaded this one from the internet. You can just do an image search for whatever kind of a label you want. And we need to keep this non-alcoholic, please. And then because we want this label to fit properly on our bottle mesh, we're going to have to unwrap it, much like we did a previous project where we unwrapped the rabbit character. This is going to be really easy. I'm going to hide this plane by pushing Control H. And then I'm going to turn off Arnold, select my bottle mesh, switch to face mode. I have soft selection turned on. I'm going to turn that off. And I'm going to select this bottom ring of polygons by clicking the one and then holding down Shift and double clicking the next one, and that selects that whole loop of polygons. Then I'm going to grow my selection so that I end up with all the polygons that make up the outside of the bottle, like so. And then we are going to open up the UV editing workspace. And we're going to go to Create and select Cylindrical. And that puts a cylindrical map on our polygons that we selected. And then we're going to get the scale tool and scale them down so that they're going to fit into the space. Then we need to select all the other UVs, so we can simply do that by switching to UV mode and grabbing everything else besides what we have already unwrapped. And we're going to go to Create Automatic. And that just breaks everything up. And it really doesn't matter because this is just going to be just the material, the glass material. So we're just going to scale all that down and put it down here in the corner. And maybe move some of these things around a little bit so they can all fit in space. This is what matters right here because we're going to put the label on this. And then we need to generate our UV template. So we're going to select everything that we have in our space here, and we're going to make sure that it's all inside this one square. And we're going to click the camera. And then it should go to your project folder. Here's mine, Images, if you have it synced properly. And we need to name this something appropriate. And it should be a JPEG already, and I usually change my edge color to green. And then we're going to click Apply and Close. And now we need to open Photoshop. And once we have Photoshop open, we need to open the label you found, whichever label you want to use. And then we need to open the UV template that we generated. And now that we have this open, we can go back to the label file and zoom in. I use Control Plus to do that. I think I'm going to use this Zombie Brew one. And then we need to select it. I like to use the Quick Select tool, which is right here. And I'm going to adjust my brush size by using the bracket keys. Then I'm going to begin to select this label. Now this should be good, so I'm going to go ahead and Control C or Command C on a Mac. And then I'm going to select the bottle UV image that I opened here and hit Command V. And then I'm going to hit Command T to scale it up. And we may have to move this, of course, because that's just what has to happen usually. So I'm going to kind of put that right about there, I think would be a good spot. Push Enter to select the transformation or accept the transformation. And then we need to export this. And very importantly, we need to turn off the background layer. And we need to go to File, export as. We need to select PNG, make sure transparency is checked, and click Export. Find your project folder, put it in the Source Images folder, and we now have what we need to begin to apply the label to this bottle. Make sure that when you're doing UV unwrapping and textures in Photoshop that you always save your Photoshop file. And I always save it back in my project folder, because we're probably going to want to come back and edit this later, and we may want to do it at some point in the future. So always save your Photoshop file. So when we come back in the next video, we'll put the label on the bottle, and I'll see you then.